I just wanted to start with the story first and how it's a revenge thriller, but it's also a lot about forgiveness as well. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing for me about all good revenge movies, I think, is that there has to be the possibility of redemption for the protagonist and also for the people that they're kind of taking revenge against. And so I suppose the thing about Cassie's journey, I always thought of her as an avenging angel, and she goes to people and she goes to them with two options, and one is apology and redemption, and one of them is no apology and punishment. And so I think that's kind of just such an interesting, that's a kind of age-old, dynamic for storytelling. But it's really important, I think, certainly in a film, making a film like this, to say that a huge part of anything that is difficult for all of us is that people won't admit or apologise when things have gone wrong.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking about Cassie, she's a really complex character. So how fun was it exploring her, and how much of a collaboration was it?
It was all collaboration. I always sort of want to find parts that I don't really know how to do. That sort of feels like the most exciting. When I read a script and think, that's such an interesting person, I have no idea how I would play her, that's usually when I want to do it. And certainly coming into this, I felt like Emerald and I were just in constant conversation. And that wasn't just before filming, that was the whole way through. And I think also, as well as that, she was sort of informed a bit by who played the other parts. So I think a lot of the storyline with Beau's character, developed through just our relationship on set and how we interacted with each other and how those parts came out. So it felt like I sort of never figured her out 100%, and that was part of the fun.
Yeah, and speaking about fun on set, there's a heavy undertone, but how much fun was it on set?
So much fun.
I mean, I think the thing that I certainly felt was that it is a movie that is challenging in lots of ways, and we had a very, very short shoot time. It was 23 days, and we had to get a lot in. And often we were asking these incredible actors to come in and do maybe a day, which is very, very nerve-wracking, even if you're very experienced. So the part of the thing was, for me, and certainly like Carey as our lead just helped so much by virtue of just being absolutely brilliant. But for me, it was just making sure that it felt fun, that people felt safe, that the moment they arrived on set, they knew that there was nothing they could do or try that would be shut down or they would feel silly. That I think the thing for me is when people feel most playful and when they feel like they can make mistakes, and that's when they do their best work. I think we've all worked on so many sets that run on fear and adrenaline, and I honestly don't think that things get done well that way, especially if you're making a film like this. It's got to be pleasurable because you've got to trust each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about, it's a bit of a reflection on the Me Too movement that everybody's talking about. Was that there ever present throughout, filming it, or is it just an illustration?
It really never kind of, obviously we have all been aware of it, and we've, and we talk about it a lot, and as we should, but I think this story felt like one person's experience, and very, all of us, everyone on the crew, we could all relate to it when we were doing it. But it wasn't sort of, there was no feeling of us doing something as part of. This was a story that has been, that has been part of our lives forever, has been as men and women, and so it didn't feel. And someone asked earlier, did I feel a responsibility towards women of sort of playing this part? And I really didn't. Like, as an actor, I just felt sort of in this, telling this one, trying to do this as honestly as possible, and that's how it felt when we were shooting it. And it felt very little, and we shot it so quickly. It was 23 days, so it felt like a real bubble, and I felt so sad when it was over because it was such an extraordinary experience. But I think we felt really kind of in our own world a bit.
You can't, and I think you can't make things. You can't make things that are a reflection of a political movement. I don't think. The thing about this movie is it is about a very specific thing, very specific issue of consent that I mean, certainly we've all been talking about amongst ourselves for years and years and years. And so I think it's important always to sort of remember that that this stuff has been eternal, has been ongoing, that that is part of what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a man, how we interact with each other. You know, I think it's a universal story, I think, of how we can get things wrong without knowing it.
100%. Thank you guys so much.